My boss fired me at 9 a.m. By 10 a.m., he was in my house.
I still remember the exact moment my life split into a before and an after. My name is Jake Morrison, and 3 years ago I walked into my own home expecting to discuss getting fired, and instead watched my wife destroy our marriage with the man who just sabotaged my career. People say betrayal feels like a punch. For me, it felt like the floor vanishing under my feet. I'd spent 3 years working at TouchFlow Industries, quietly building an advanced logistics AI during nights and weekends on my personal equipment. It was the kind of innovation that could transform entire industries, predict delays, save millions, optimize supply chains. I never bragged, never demanded credit. I just worked. But my boss, Rick, had a habit of stealing ideas and slapping his name on them. So when he called me into his office that morning, I expected stress, not disaster. Instead, he fired me with an arrogant smirk, muttering something about budget cuts while barely looking away from his laptop. I walked out with a cardboard box and dignity hanging by a thread. I drove home rehearsing how to break the news to Emma, my wife of 3 years. We'd planned a future together. A house, maybe kids? But when I opened the bedroom door, the future I imagined disintegrated. Emma wasn't crying or apologizing. She wasn't even startled. She and Rick just paused, as if my arrival was an inconvenience, like I'd interrupted a meeting instead of finding my wife in bed with my boss. She looked at me with irritation, not guilt. Rick even had the nerve to say, "You should have seen this coming." My hands went numb. The folder I'd been holding, a folder containing a contract offer for $25 million commercial deal for my AI, slipped from my fingers and scattered across the floor. They looked at the pages the way hunters look at a trapped animal. And that's when I realized the truth. This wasn't about sex. It was about theft. They'd been plotting to steal my work. For months, Emma had been spying on me, sending Rick photos of my notes, tracking my progress, even timing when I'd be home so they could operate freely. Their emails made me sick. She wrote about me like I was an obstacle, not her husband. Rick wrote about accelerating timelines before Jake catches on. They thought they were smarter. They thought they'd win. Emma's parents summoned me the next day to their mansion as if I were an employee being disciplined, not a son-in-law whose life had just imploded. They were exactly the type of wealthy predators who believed money made them royalty. They told me Rick was a better match, a real man, someone of proper breeding. Emma arrived dressed like she was celebrating an upgrade. That was the moment I dropped the bomb. I already had a contract signed with a multinational medical company. A $25 million deal, mine, not TouchFlow's. The entire room fell silent. For the first time, they looked unsure of themselves. But despite the contract, I was still emotionally shattered. I moved to a tiny apartment far from the suburbs, one with peeling wallpaper and neighbors who fought loudly at odd hours. I lived on takeout and regret. That's where Sarah found me, my old college friend, now a forensic business analyst who specialized in destroying fraudsters. She was the kind of person who could turn chaos into a strategy. She didn't pity me. She pushed me, and together we uncovered everything. Bank logs, embezzlement trails, fake shell companies, expense reports for romantic getaways disguised as business trips. Proof that Emma and Rick had planned to patent my invention under Lancaster Innovations and cut me out completely. It was a criminal conspiracy wrapped in lies, and they thought they'd buried it. Sarah introduced me to Marcus Kim, a lawyer so ruthless corporate criminals whispered about him like he was a myth. When he saw the evidence, he didn't just take the case. He smiled. "They're finished," he said, and I believed him. While we built the case, Rick and Emma planned their extravagant engagement party, inviting Denver's elite to celebrate their delusional victory. They even sent me an invitation dripping with arrogance. I went, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to. Their mansion was lit like a movie set. Emma stood in the center wearing a glittering dress and her new diamond necklace, accepting compliments while pretending her life wasn't built on deceit. Rick strutted around like he'd conquered the tech world. Everyone looked at me like I was an old problem finally removed. And that S when David Park walked in, the CEO of the medical tech giant ID partnered with, billionaire, genius, industry leader. He walked straight past every influential family in the room, shook my hand firmly, and announced in a voice loud enough to carry across marble floors that I was not just a guest, I was his new business partner. A $25 million contract with projections for billions within 5 years. The room froze. Emma's smile collapsed. Rick's confidence evaporated. The Lancaster family looked like their souls had been yanked out of their bodies. 3 days later, federal agents served Rick and Emma their court summons in the middle of a luxury brunch. People recorded it. It made social media. It was glorious. The trial was 6 weeks of public humiliation for them. The evidence was overwhelming: emails, transactions, photos, recorded conversations where they mocked me, bragging about stealing my work and ruining my career. Emma fell apart on the stand, screaming about how I was nothing and Rick was a real future. The jury took less than an hour to find them guilty. Rick got 5 years in federal prison and massive restitution fines. Emma got 2 years and $500,000 in damages. They were banned from ever working in technology again. Watching the marshals lead them out in cuffs didn't fix everything inside me, but it came damn close. 6 months later, I launched Phoenix Ventures, a fund dedicated to helping innovators who'd been betrayed reclaim their futures. Betrayal became my fuel, my motivation, my mission. And somehow it worked. Within a year, we grew from $10 million to $75 million under management, then $200 million. We now support dozens of founders, people like me who were written off and underestimated. Emma wrote to me from prison once. I deleted it without reading.